Diddy steps into the Manhattan Federal Courthouse, and instantly, you can feel the oxygen vanish, because this is not the swaggering mogul who once turned every red carpet into his personal runway, but a visibly rattled defendant whose dark tailored suit and low-slung glasses cannot hide the sweat on his brow, the tremor in his hand, or the way he raises that same hand like a nervous schoolboy to whisper to Judge Aaron that he needs a bathroom break, a moment of raw vulnerability that ripples through rows of reporters and spectators like feedback from an overworked microphone, signaling the first fracture in an image carefully burnished over decades of platinum records and champagne-soaked celebrations. Inside, overworked prospective jurors shuffle in, their shoes squeaking on the polished floor, and what should be a solemn process immediately mutates into something closer to a messy casting call. Because when the judge asks whether anyone has heard of the viral Cassie hotel video, dozens of hands shoot up, confirming that the internet has already stamped its opinion onto almost every mind in the room, provoking frantic whispers from clerks and exasperated sighs from both counsel tables. One prospective juror, designated number 22, launches into a bizarre aside about watching a commuter get struck by a speeding train and feeling nothing, an anecdote delivered with chilling calm that makes the defense grin and the prosecution recoil, while another candidate casually reveals he once stole money from a bank where his mother worked, drawing laughter, gasps, and finally a swift dismissal that feels less like jurisprudence and more like reality show elimination. Amid this carnival, the courtroom clerk unseals a preliminary witness list, and jaws hit the parquet as Michael B. Jordan, Kid Cudi, and Mike Myers appear in stark black type, a trifecta of Hollywood, hip-hop, and comedy whose presence turns the federal docket into what social media instantly dubs the wildest crossover episode in legal history. Speculation detonates across timelines. Jordan reportedly attended legendary Diddy parties, Cudi nursed a quiet grudge after a scuttled collaboration, and Myers, eclipsed in mystery, inspires a million memes of Austin Powers in the witness box shouting, "Objection, baby," even as legal analysts wonder aloud how a jury already marinated in pop culture can possibly disentangle spectacle from sworn testimony. Then comes the darker note. Defense counsel references the mysterious death of Kim Porter, Diddy's former partner, and the courtroom temperature plunges as everyone remembers rumors once relegated to gossip blogs now rising like ghosts into the rigid arena of federal procedure, hinting that the past, long unspoken, may be summoned under oath. Beyond the wood-paneled walls, the courthouse steps have transformed into a festival ground. Fans clutching homemade signs, vloggers narrating every procedural wrinkle, camera crews jockeying for angles, and curious onlookers queuing around the block just to glimpse the man whose empire now hangs in the balance, their phones aloft, live streams rolling, turning each pause in proceedings into an instant clip destined for algorithmic acceleration. Commentators draw comparisons to the O.J. Simpson frenzy, noting how 21st century platforms amplify every eyebrow twitch. Where once television networks mediated the story, now millions of handheld lenses broadcast unfiltered anxiety, outrage, and dark humor, generating a parallel trial in the court of public opinion with no deliberation and no instructions to disregard. Inside again, Diddy sits increasingly isolated, his customary entourage absent, his children, partners, and industry allies nowhere in sight, leaving only rows of strangers dissecting his posture, and legal experts debate whether this solitude humanizes him, inviting empathy from jurors who might see a frightened father rather than a tyrant, or underscores a narrative of desertion, a signal that even those who know him best are distancing themselves from the gravity of the allegations. Meanwhile, pundits warn that partial jurors who promise objectivity while scrolling through hashtags by night could furnish fertile ground for appeal, yet the judge presses forward, determined that 8 projected weeks of testimony not balloon into an eternity, even as both sides quietly prepare motions for mistrial should online contamination become undeniable. As afternoon shadows stretch across the chamber, reporters scribble feverishly about the man who once ruled radio, now wiping his palms on courtroom paper, about juror questionnaires reading like confessionals, about a celebrity witness lineup fit for late-night monologue fodder, and about a legal proceeding mutating minute by minute into an unprecedented blend of documentary, soap opera, and cautionary tale. When recess is finally called, the hallway erupts. Microphones thrust forward, flashbulbs strobing, security barking directions, and Diddy, head down, shoulders hunched, threads his way through the gauntlet without uttering a syllable, his silence acting as both shield and admission, while outside, a chant rises, some pleading justice for Cassie, others insisting let the man speak, creating a sonic clash that echoes between skyscrapers and into every live feed. Analysts on split-screen panels argue whether such intense scrutiny collapses the presumption of innocence, and ethicists muse that society's hunger for drama has devoured its patience for due process, yet audience numbers only climb, indicating that the intersection of celebrity downfall and alleged violence is a spectacle viewers are unwilling to turn away from, regardless of moral qualms. Back in chambers, lawyers negotiate juror strikes while clerks compile lists of potential seating alternates, each name cross-referenced against social media footprints, magazine subscriptions, and possible cameo appearances in viral reaction videos, demonstrating that in this era, vetting impartiality resembles digital forensic work as much as it does traditional voir dire. Diddy's counsel, sensing momentum slipping, begins recalibrating strategy, perhaps leaning into humility, perhaps framing the superstar's visible anxiety as proof he too is a casualty of relentless online narrative, while prosecutors, buoyed by the spectacle, craft rhetorical thrusts that will leverage the jury's collective memory of that Cassie video without appearing to rely on inadmissible bias, an intricate dance between what can be said in open court and what everyone already knows behind their eyes. By day's end, nothing substantive has been argued, no evidence introduced, no witness sworn, yet the stakes feel higher than for some entire trials, because reputations, careers, and cultural fault lines are colliding in real time, and each passing headline deepens the imprint of a narrative that may prove impossible to erase when deliberations finally begin. As Diddy departs under twilight, helicopters thumping overhead, and protesters holding phones like torches, observers wonder aloud if this is the moment an era ends, if the gilded age of untouchable music royalty is giving way to raw accountability under the relentless glare of digital democracy, and whether a star system accustomed to controlling the message can survive when every watcher is also a broadcaster, dissecting, remixing, and memeing each scene before the next even unfolds. Reporters update live blogs with minute timestamps, describing everything from the scuff on Diddy's left shoe to the color of the judge's water carafe, because readers crave granular texture, and every detail becomes a clue in the grand crowdsourced conspiracy board that social platforms have collectively erected, a sprawling digital mural where threads of speculation connect lyrics, tweets, archived videos, and long-forgotten interviews, weaving an alternate prosecution that outraces the real one. Late-night hosts prepare monologues that will mine comedic gold from the day's absurdities, yet writers also tread cautiously, for the allegations cut to the bone of domestic violence and abuse of power, raising the perennial question of where satire ends and re-traumatization begins. And in that uneasy space, the culture at large confronts its blurred boundaries between cathartic laughter and the grave responsibility owed to survivors whose stories fuel the spectacle. Meanwhile, crisis management firms across Los Angeles and New York draft competing playbooks in real time, some urging Diddy to embrace a postcard-perfect image of repentance, complete with restorative justice donations and soul-bearing interviews, while others advise an aggressive offensive, challenging every leak, every headline, and every social media thread, as defamatory hit jobs designed to dethrone a black entrepreneur who upset too many entrenched hierarchies, And some inside the music industry whisper that powerful rivals quietly cheer the downfall while outwardly professing sorrow. On streaming services, plays of Diddy's back catalog spike as curious listeners revisit the soundtrack of late 90s parties, toggling between nostalgia and discomfort, and scholars of media ethics note how consumer curiosity often translates into renewed royalties for the very figure under scrutiny, creating a paradox where controversy both punishes and enriches the accused. Inside group chats, former insiders debate whether subpoenas might reach them next, bodyguards recalling whispered threats, assistants remembering odd late-night tasks, collaborators piecing together anecdotes that once felt like industry folklore but now appear as potential evidence, and each pings a lawyer friend for advice while also texting publicists to craft statements in case their names surface in future filings. The ripple effect even shakes fashion circles, because stylists who once clamored to dress Diddy for award shows are quietly scrubbing portfolio highlights, luxury brands postpone archival collaborations, and event organizers weigh whether to rebrand upcoming galas so any photos of Diddy gracing past step and repeats cannot be weaponized.